At my brother's wedding, someone casually mentioned they'd worked with my consulting firm, and my entire family discovered I had $8 million. Within 10 minutes, my brother was demanding I invest in his failing startup, my parents were furious I hadn't bought them a bigger house, and my sister was posting on Instagram about selfish millionaire siblings. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let us keep this channel growing collectively. Thank you very much. Now let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons, with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. So, I'm Michael, 41 years old, and I need to get this off my chest. Do you know those family dynamics where one child is the golden boy who can do no wrong, while the other is expected to just quietly handle everything? Yeah, welcome to my life. Everything was relatively normal until I was 10. I was the older kid, and while my parents weren't particularly affectionate, they were present. Mom would pack my lunches, Dad would take me to baseball practice occasionally. We weren't a TV sitcom family, but we were fine. Then came my brother, Tyler. The pregnancy was planned, celebrated, and treated like the second coming. I remember the baby shower, the nursery preparations, the constant excitement. When Tyler was born, you'd think royalty had entered our modest suburban home. At first, I thought it was normal. New babies get attention. That's just how it works. But here's the thing. The attention never balanced out. It intensified. Tyler was a colicky baby. He cried constantly. Mom became obsessed with his comfort, his schedule, his every need. Dad worked overtime to pay for the best pediatricians, the most expensive formula, whatever Tyler needed. And me? I became the child who needed to understand, the one who had to be quiet during Tyler's naps, patient during Tyler's tantrums, helpful during Tyler's everything. I tried to be a good older brother, I really did. I'd help with bottles, entertain him when Mom needed a break, teach him things as he got older. But children aren't stupid. After a while, you start to understand what's actually happening. You're not being helpful, you're being convenient. The clear favoritism started early. When I was 12 and Tyler was 2, I won the Regional Science Olympiad. First place, beat out kids from schools with actual funding and resources. I came home so proud, holding that trophy. Mom barely looked up from Tyler's blocks. "That's nice, sweetie. Can you help me clean up these toys? Your brother is getting fussy." Dad came home. I showed him the trophy. He said, "Great job, Mike. Hey, did you remember to pick up Tyler's prescription on your way home?" I'd ridden my bike 6 miles to the competition, alone, at 12 years old. 2 weeks later, Tyler took his first unassisted steps. You'd think he'd cured cancer. Photos, videos, calls to every relative, a celebratory dinner at Red Lobster for walking. Something literally every human learns to do. Middle school was when I started understanding the system. Tyler got attention because he demanded it, loudly, constantly, dramatically. I got overlooked because I didn't make problems. When I got straight A's, the response was, "Of course you did. You're the smart one." When Tyler brought home a C+, there were tears, tutor consultations, and parent-teacher conferences about his unique learning style. I learned to cook because no one remembered I needed dinner when Tyler was having a tantrum. I learned to do my own laundry because Mom was too tired from dealing with Tyler to teach me. I learned to forge Dad's signature on permission slips because he was always busy with Tyler's soccer schedules. My room became my sanctuary. I filled it with books about computers and programming. This was the early 90s, when having a computer wasn't standard. I saved birthday money and odd jobs for 2 years to buy a used desktop from a neighbor's garage sale. Tyler would sometimes come into my room and break things, and Mom would say, "He's just a kid, Michael. You need to be more understanding." Once he spilled juice on a programming manual I'd saved for months to buy. The pages stuck together and ruined 3 chapters. I was upset, close to tears. Dad's response? "It's just a book. Don't be so dramatic. Your brother didn't mean it." That book cost $35. Tyler's replacement Game Boy, when he broke his, $89, purchased the same day. High school was when things crystallized for me. Tyler was in elementary school, still the center of the universe. I was a junior, taking AP classes, working part-time at a computer repair shop, and basically invisible. I discovered I had a talent for understanding how computers worked, not just using them, but truly understanding the architecture, the logic, the systems. My boss at the repair shop, Tom, noticed. He started teaching me more advanced troubleshooting, even let me help with small business clients. One day, a client came in with a crashed server. Tom was stumped. I looked at it for 20 minutes and found a corrupted registry file that was causing cascading failures. Fixed it in an hour. The client was so grateful they gave Tom a $500 tip and insisted I get half. I took that $250 and immediately hid it in a locked box under my bed. I'd learned by then that any money I had would somehow become Tyler's if my parents knew about it. College applications came around. I had a 4.2 GPA, near perfect SAT scores, president of the computer club, and stellar recommendations from teachers and my boss. I applied to 12 schools: MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, UC Berkeley, and several solid-state schools as backups. I did all the applications alone. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Patterson, helped me with financial aid forms because my parents were too busy. The acceptances started coming: MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, all with partial scholarships but still requiring significant family contribution or loans. I came home with the MIT acceptance letter, full of pride and hope, and showed it to my parents at dinner. Dad looked at the financial aid package. "Michael, this says we'd need to contribute $25,000 a year." "I know, but MIT, Dad, it's MIT. I can take loans, work study." Mom interrupted. "Honey, we just don't have that kind of money. Tyler's going to need braces soon, and we're saving for his college fund." I stared at her. "His college fund? He's 8 years old. I'm going to college now." Dad sighed. "You're smart, Mike. You'll figure it out. State school has a fine computer science program. We can help with a few thousand, but that's it." Tyler, age 8, eating chicken nuggets, piped up, "Does this mean I can have Michael's room when he leaves? It's bigger." That was the moment, the exact moment I realized I was completely on my own. I went to the state school. It was fine. Good professors, decent program. I worked 30 hours a week at the computer repair shop while taking a full course load. I graduated in 3 years instead of 4 because I took summer classes and overloaded each semester. Why rush? Because I was paying for it myself with loans and work, and every semester cost money. Meanwhile, Tyler was in middle school. He decided he wanted to play travel hockey. The fees were $4,000 a year, not including equipment, travel, and hotels for tournaments. My parents paid it without blinking. I graduated college in 2005 with $40,000 in student loans and a job offer from a mid-sized IT consulting firm. The salary was $55,000, decent for a new graduate. I lived in a tiny studio apartment, drove a 15-year-old Honda Civic, and put every spare dollar toward my loans. Tyler was starting high school. He wanted a car for his 16th birthday. My parents bought him a brand new Jeep Wrangler. Cost $28,000. I'd asked for help with books sophomore year. They'd sent me $200 and asked me to be more financially responsible. The IT consulting job taught me something valuable. Businesses will pay enormous amounts of money for people who can solve complex problems quickly and reliably. I was good at it, really good. I could walk into a chaotic IT environment, diagnose systemic issues, and create implementation plans that actually worked. Within 2 years, I was their go-to person for difficult clients. But I was also watching how much the company billed clients versus how much they paid me. They'd charge $200 an hour for my work and pay me the equivalent of $28 an hour. I started doing side consulting: small businesses, local offices, weekend work, cash under the table, or checks made out to me personally. I'd fix their systems, set up their networks, solve their problems. Word spread. One client referred another. That person referred 2 more. By 2008, I had more side work than I could handle while keeping my day job. So I quit. Started my own consulting firm. Just me, working out of my apartment, no employees, no overhead. Just me and my skills. My family's response when I told them? Mom: "Oh, honey, is that wise? You had a stable job." Dad: "Self-employment is risky, Mike. No benefits, no security." Tyler, now in college, fully paid by parents: "Sounds like you're unemployed with extra steps." I didn't argue. I just worked. Those first 2 years were brutal. I worked 80-hour weeks, slept 4 hours a night, lived on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. But the business grew. I landed a contract with a medium-sized manufacturing company to overhaul their entire IT infrastructure. It was a 6-month project worth $120,000. After expenses, I pocketed $95,000, more than I'd made in 2 years at the consulting firm. I hired my first employee in 2010, a recent graduate named Kevin, who reminded me of myself: brilliant, overlooked, hungry to prove himself. By 2012, I had 5 employees and annual revenue crossing $2 million. My personal income was around $400,000 that year. My family still thought I was barely scraping by. Sunday dinners at my parents' house were surreal. I'd show up in normal clothes, jeans, plain shirt, my old Civic, and they'd pat me on the head like I was a struggling artist. Mom would say things like, "Are you eating enough? You look thin." Dad: "How's the little computer business? Still keeping busy?" Tyler, who'd graduated and was now working an entry-level marketing job, "Must be nice to make your own hours. I'm stuck in corporate hell making $45,000. I'd nod sympathetically, not mentioning that I'd made more than his annual salary the previous week. The secret financial help started around 2011. Mom called, crying. They were behind on their mortgage. Dad's hours had been cut. They were facing foreclosure. "How much do you need?" I asked. "$3,000 to catch up, but we can't ask you. You're barely making it yourself." I set up an anonymous monthly transfer, $3,000 every month from an LLC account with a generic name. When they asked about it, I acted confused and suggested maybe it was from a church fund or distant relatives. They accepted it without much question. Free money rarely gets investigated thoroughly. Over the years, I increased it based on their needs. When Dad's car died, suddenly there was $8,000 in their account. When their roof needed replacing, $12,000 appeared. They never connected it to me. Why would they? I was still driving my old Civic, still living in a modest apartment, by choice, I liked the location, still playing the role of struggling small business owner. Meanwhile, Tyler's life was imploding in slow motion. He'd graduated with a degree in communications, massive student loans that my parents took out, and a series of failed job attempts. He'd been fired for 3 positions in 5 years. The reasons varied: attitude problems, attendance issues, conflicts with management. But according to my parents, he was just misunderstood, too creative for corporate structure, destined for something greater. In 2015, Tyler announced he was starting a business, a craft beer brewery. He had no experience in brewing, no business plan, and no capital, but he had passion and a dream. My parents mortgaged their house, the one I'd been secretly saving from foreclosure, and gave Tyler $150,000 to start his brewery. On Sunday dinner, they announced this like it was wonderful news. "Dad, we're so proud. Tyler's going to be his own boss, just like you, Mike." Tyler: "Yeah, except I'm actually going to make real money. Craft beer is exploding. I'll probably franchise within 5 years." Mom to me: "Maybe Tyler can give you some business advice. He's been reading all these entrepreneurship books." I smiled and said, "That's great, Tyler. Good luck." Inside, I was calculating how long until that $150,000 disappeared. I gave it 18 months. I was wrong. It took 14 months. The brewery was a disaster. Tyler had no idea how to run a business. He spent money on fancy equipment and trendy branding, but had no understanding of cash flow, permits, distribution, or actually making beer that people wanted to drink. Within 14 months, he was out of money, behind on rent for the space, and being sued by 2 suppliers. Mom called me crying. "Michael, your brother needs help. His business is failing. Can you loan him some money? Just $20,000 to get through this rough patch." "Mom, I don't have $20,000 to loan." "Maybe you could take out a loan for family." I pretended to consider it. "Mom, I'm barely covering my own expenses. I'm sorry." She was disappointed, but understanding. Poor Michael, barely making ends meet himself. That same week, I closed a contract with a Fortune 500 company for a 3-year infrastructure consulting agreement. Total value, $4.8 million. Tyler's brewery closed. He moved back in with my parents at age 30. The $150,000 was completely gone, and my parents now had a second mortgage they couldn't afford. I increased my anonymous transfers to $5,000 monthly. By 2018, my company had 22 employees and offices in 3 cities. Our annual revenue was $12 million, and my personal net worth had crossed $8 million. I still drove my old Civic, still lived in my same apartment, still showed up to Sunday dinners in jeans and t-shirts. My extravagances were invisible: a stock portfolio my family didn't know about, real estate investments in other states, and a very healthy retirement account. Tyler, living at home, still unemployed, would complain at dinner about how unfair life was. "The system is rigged," he'd say. "People like us don't get ahead because we're too honest, too real." I'd nod along while mentally reviewing my quarterly profit statements. The wedding invitation came in early 2019. Tyler, age 32, was getting married to his girlfriend, Ashley. The wedding was planned for September, and it was going to be the event of the year. The budget, I later found out, was $60,000. My parents contributed $40,000, money they absolutely didn't have, and Ashley's parents covered the rest. I was asked to be a groomsman. I said yes, because refusing would raise too many questions. The wedding weekend arrived. It was at a fancy venue upstate with 200 guests, an open bar, live band, and all the expensive trimmings. I arrived wearing a rented tux, driving my faithful Civic, playing my role perfectly. The reception was everything you'd expect: overcrowded, overpriced, and over the top. I was seated at a table with various relatives and family friends I barely knew. One of them, a guy named Richard, worked in corporate IT. We made polite conversation about computers and systems. "So what do you do, Michael?" Richard asked. "I run a small IT consulting business." "Oh yeah? What kind of clients?" "Mostly mid-sized companies, some infrastructure work, implementation, that kind of thing." Richard nodded. "That's good work. We actually just hired a firm for a major project, TechBridge Solutions. You heard of them?" My company. He was talking about my company. I felt my blood freeze. "Yeah, I've heard of them. They're amazing, expensive, but worth every penny. The lead consultant, some guy named Michael Chen, completely transformed our systems. My full name, my project. He was my client and didn't know I was the owner." Before I could respond, my cousin Jennifer, sitting across from us, chimed in. "Wait, Michael Chen? That's Michael's name." Richard looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. "Michael Chen? From TechBridge Solutions?" The table went quiet. Yeah, that's me." Richard's face transformed. "You're the Michael Chen? You own TechBridge Solutions?" Yes. "Holy shit, your company's incredible. You personally saved us from a catastrophic system failure. Do you know how much our CEO praises you?" By now, people from other tables were turning to look. Jennifer practically shouted, "Wait, Mike, you own a company big enough to work with major corporations?" My brother Tyler appeared, slightly drunk, grinning. "What's going on over here?" Richard, enthusiastically, "Your brother owns TechBridge Solutions. They're one of the top consulting firms in the region." Tyler's smile froze. "What? Mike, you told us you had a small business." "I do." "How small? How many employees?" I paused. Everyone was staring. 22. My mother appeared, confused. "Michael, what's happening?" Richard, trying to be helpful. "Mrs. Chen, your son runs an incredible company. Do you know what firms like his charge? We paid them $600,000 for our project alone." Mom's face went white. $600,000? The reception had essentially stopped. Even the band had quieted down to a background level. Dad pushed through the crowd. "Michael, is this true?" I stood up. "Can we talk about this later? This is Tyler's wedding." Tyler, drunk and loud. "No, let's talk about it now. How much money do you make, Mike?" "Tyler, this isn't—" "How much?" I looked at him, at my parents, at the crowd of family and friends all staring. "Last year, about $2.3 million personally. The company did $12 million in revenue." The silence was deafening. Mom started crying, not happy tears, angry tears. "You have millions, and you let your father and I struggle? Let your brother's business fail?" "I've been sending you money for 8 years." "What?" "The anonymous transfers, the sudden deposits when you needed them. That was me." Dad's face turned red. "You've been secretly giving us money while we thought you were barely surviving?" "I never said I was barely surviving. You assumed that." Tyler stepped forward, aggressive. "I asked you for $20,000. You said you didn't have it." "I said I didn't have it to loan. I didn't say I didn't have it." "That's the same thing." "No, Tyler, it's not. I've spent 15 years watching you get everything while I got nothing. College paid for, cars, money for a business you ran into the ground. Mom and Dad gave you $150,000, money they borrowed against their house, for a brewery you destroyed through incompetence." Tyler shoved me. "You're calling me incompetent?" I didn't move. "Yes, you are. You failed at every job, every business, every responsibility, and everyone makes excuses for you while I've been paying Mom and Dad's mortgage." Mom was sobbing. "How could you hide this? We're family." "Family? You forgot my college graduation because Tyler had a hockey game. You missed my 30th birthday because Tyler needed help moving. I've been invisible for 31 years, but now that you know I have money, suddenly I'm family?" Dad tried to intervene. "Michael, you don't understand." "No, you don't understand. I built this myself. No help, no support. While you were throwing money at Tyler's every whim, I was working 80-hour weeks and eating ramen." Ashley, Tyler's new bride, started crying. The wedding was destroyed. I looked at Tyler. "Congratulations on your wedding. I'm leaving." I walked out. Behind me, I could hear shouting, crying, chaos. I drove back to the hotel, packed, and left that night. The aftermath was immediate and nuclear. By the time I got home the next morning, I had 89 missed calls and 200+ text messages. "Mom, how dare you ruin your brother's wedding?" "Dad, we raised you better than this." "Tyler, you're dead to me, you selfish prick." Then came the demands. Tyler texted, "I'm starting another business, a real one this time. You're going to invest $500,000. Not asking, telling. I didn't respond. Mom called. "Your father and I need to retire properly. We need $1 million for a retirement fund. It's the least you can do." "The least I can do? For what?" "For raising you." "You mean for raising Tyler while I raised myself?" She hung up. My younger sister, Emma, who'd been at college during most of this and had remained relatively neutral over the years, texted, "Mike, what the hell? Everyone's saying you're a millionaire who's been lying to us." I called her. She answered, "Emma, I didn't lie. I just didn't correct their assumptions. You let Mom and Dad think you were struggling." They never asked, Em. Not once in 15 years did Dad say, "How's business really doing?" or Mom asked to see my place or my life. They assumed, and I let them. That's still lying. Maybe, but I'm done apologizing for succeeding while everyone was busy paying attention to Tyler. She was quiet. Then, "They're planning to sue you." For what? I don't know. They found a lawyer who said something about family obligation and unjust enrichment. I laughed. It wasn't funny, but I laughed. The next week, I received a formal letter from a lawyer my parents had hired. It claimed I had a moral and potentially legal obligation to support my family, given my means. It demanded $2 million immediately and $50,000 monthly ongoing. I sent it to my own lawyer. She laughed so hard she snorted. "They have absolutely no case. You're an adult. You don't owe your parents anything legally." I know, but they're going to try. Let them. We'll crush it. The social media campaign started immediately. Tyler and my mom created posts painting me as a millionaire who'd been abandoned his family. Tyler's Facebook post: "Found out my brother is secretly rich and has been watching our family struggle. Guess money really does corrupt. Some people forget where they came from." It got 300 plus comments, mostly from people who didn't know the full story. Mom's post was worse. "After 41 years of raising a son, making sacrifices, going without so he could succeed, he turns his back on his family. Heartbroken doesn't begin to cover it." Cousins, aunts, uncles, people I barely knew started commenting about my moral failings. But then something unexpected happened. Emma commented on Mom's post. "That's not what happened, and you know it. Michael graduated college with $40,000 in debt, while Tyler got everything paid for. Michael worked his way up while you told him he'd never amount to anything. Maybe tell the whole story." Aunt Karen, Dad's sister, who I'd always liked. "I remember Michael working 3 jobs to pay for college, while Tyler got a new car. Don't rewrite history, Susan." My old boss, Tom, from the computer repair shop. "Michael was the hardest working kid I ever employed. He earned everything he has." The narrative started to split. Some people supported my family's version. Others started questioning it. I stayed silent, didn't post, didn't engage, didn't defend myself publicly. But privately, I made decisions. I stopped all anonymous transfers to my parents, completely. The $5,000 monthly payments that had been keeping them afloat, gone. Within 6 weeks, Mom called, crying, "Michael, please, we can't make our mortgage payment." "You should ask Tyler. He's the one who deserves your support, right? He doesn't have money." "Neither did I when you gave him $150,000. That's different." "How?" She couldn't answer. 3 months after the wedding, my parents' house went into foreclosure. They'd been living beyond their means for years, supported by my secret payments. Tyler's second business venture, some kind of social media consulting firm, failed within 4 months. He'd convinced 2 investors to give him money, but without my parents' safety net, he had no fallback. Emma called me. "Mike, they're going to lose the house." "I know." "You're really going to let that happen?" I gave them over $400,000 in the last 8 years. Anonymous gifts they thought came from luck or distant relatives. I saved that house twice. They took that money, gave Tyler another $150,000, and now they're mad I won't give them more. But they're our parents. They're Tyler's parents. I was just the kid who was supposed to understand and not make problems. She was quiet. Then, "I get it. I'm sorry." "You don't have to be sorry. You weren't part of this." "I know, but I'm sorry they treated you that way. I was too young to see it before." That conversation meant more to me than she knew. The house foreclosed. My parents moved into a small rental. Tyler moved with them, still unemployed at 33. The lawyer's threats went nowhere. My attorney sent one letter explaining exactly why their case had no merit, and we never heard from them again. But the harassment continued. Phone calls from unknown numbers, family members I hadn't spoken to in years, demanding I do the right thing. One voicemail from my uncle. "Your mother is crying herself to sleep every night. I hope you're proud of yourself." Another from a cousin. "Family is supposed to help each other. You're disgusting." I changed my number. I blocked everyone except Emma on social media. I focused on my business. TechBridge continued to grow. We landed several major contracts. Revenue hit $15 million in 2020. My personal net worth crossed $10 million. I bought a house, a nice one, in a good neighborhood with security. I upgraded from my old Civic to a sensible Tesla. I started actually enjoying the money I'd earned. No more pretending, no more hiding. Emma came to visit. She saw my house, my car, my life. "Holy shit, Mike, you really did it." "I really did. And you did it completely alone." "Yeah." She hugged me. "I'm proud of you. Someone should say it." It's been 3 years since Tyler's wedding. I'm 41 now. TechBridge has 35 employees and annual revenue around $18 million. My personal net worth is approximately $12 million. I haven't spoken to my parents or Tyler since that night. They've stopped trying to contact me, mostly because I've made it impossible. Emma and I are close now. She visits every few months. We've had long conversations about our childhood, about the dynamics I experienced that she was too young to fully understand. Last month, she told me Tyler's getting divorced. Ashley left him after he lost another job, and she realized he'd probably never be stable. Mom's health is declining. Dad's working part-time at 68 because they have no retirement savings. Part of me feels guilty. A small part. But mostly, I feel free. I have friends, real friends, who knew me before they knew my net worth. I travel, I donate to scholarships for students who can't afford college, I mentor young entrepreneurs who remind me of myself. Last week, I received a LinkedIn message from Tyler. Hey Mike, I know we haven't talked. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I was wrong about a lot of things. I'm starting over, trying to get my life together. I'm not asking for money, just wanted to say I'm sorry. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I replied, I appreciate the apology. I hope things work out for you. He responded, thanks, that means a lot. Maybe someday we could get coffee. Maybe someday. I don't know if that day will come. Part of me wants to believe people can change. Another part remembers 30+ years of being invisible. For now, I'm content with my life, my success, my peace. Reddit, I spent 31 years being the forgotten kid who was supposed to understand, to be responsible, to not make waves. I spent 15 years secretly keeping my family afloat while they looked down on me. And when they finally discovered I'd succeeded beyond their wildest imagination, they didn't celebrate, they demanded. So, I did what I should have done years ago. I chose myself. Some people will say I'm heartless, that family is everything, that I should have done more. But I did do more, for years, silently, thanklessly, and it was never enough. So now, I live for me. And honestly, it feels pretty damn good.
Yes, I'm in therapy. Best decision I ever made. No, I don't regret cutting them off. Yes, Emma and I have a good relationship. She's the only family member who ever apologized. To Tyler, if you're reading this, I hope you find your way. I really do, but I can't be part of that journey. And to everyone who thinks I should give my parents money because they raised me, they didn't raise me. They housed me while I raised myself. There's a difference. Thank you for listening.